Welcome to the podcast of School Beyond Limitations. In this podcast, you will learn how to guide your child through their school life with intention to help them find their unique essence that will allow your daughter, your son to live a fulfilled and meaningful life.
Why is mindset such an important feature of education? My name is Dr. Martina Geromin. I'm the CEO, co-founder and developer of School Beyond Limitations. Why is mindset such a key factor in education? I think what we have seen in the traditional school setting is that students actually get away from the understanding that they are powerful, that they have everything within them already, within themselves already, and that they are trained to just follow what the teacher is telling them to do and to actually see limitations around them. You know, that starts already sometimes with parents themselves, and I think sometimes we need to be very careful and also mindful as parents when we are dealing with children, because children, they have the tendency, as we all know, to explore the environment, to actually take in what the environment is offering them. And usually children, if they feel safe and seen, they move forward step by step gradually, and they always look out for their parents or for their mother or for their father, for the figure who is giving them this safety and this certainty. And they would always double check somehow whether they have gone too far away from their parents. And what happens here very oftentimes is that parents, when they see, their children maybe going away too far, then they hold them back and they say, oh, stay here, don't do that. Because if you do that, then there may be a danger. You have to look, and look around you, because otherwise you will fall, or otherwise you will encounter people or strangers that may mean it, badly with you. And that's exactly where we start already conditioning our children. And that's where we start actually coming in and putting limitations in front of them, instead of giving them the space and, of course, observing them. As a parent, I would never walk away, and I would always keep the eye on my children when they are young, and I would see how far are they going and what is the best way if I see something dangerous happening to them. I go there and I help them, and I actually give them this understanding. Don't worry, I'm around you. And there's also the fact that when I see that there's a danger, I would then start telling them, look, have you noticed the danger? Have you seen it? But I would do it in a way where they feel very, very, very safe and comfortable, and they don't feel like panicking. Because if they start panicking, then I grow the fear within them. If I grow the fear within them, then actually I give space for that energy to build up, instead of saying, okay, there's other options open if you first, take the next step. So what are we doing also as educators within School Beyond Limitations is actually showing our students that they have this source of making conscious decisions and judging a situation by connecting with themselves, because they themselves actually do know how far they want to go, how far they can go. And of course, they need to understand that there is somebody at their side who would tell them, have you considered this? Have you considered that? That doesn't mean that I allow them to do whatever comes their way. I help them to build up this confidence within themselves. I help them to trust their own judgment, their own understanding. And this makes them really extremely not only powerful, but they understand that there is a source within themselves, which I would call this inner knowing, which I would call also, the understanding that actually everything is safe, is clear, if you just open your eyes. And this is what we are doing at School Beyond Limitations. And I invite each parent, I invite each educator to be clear within themselves that children, they always reach out and look out for the safe guiding figure in their space, if they can trust that guiding figure. So I think what is very important is that we build trust, that we do anything for a child that they feel that they can trust their respective adult in their space. That means I don't let them alone. For instance, when they are children and babies still, I don't leave them alone when they are sleeping at nighttime and crying. I go there, I give them the space, I tell them, don't worry, I'm here with you. And that's soothing. That's not spoiling, that's soothing, that's giving the child the certainty you do not have to worry, I'm here for you. And if this foundation is laid and is steady, then a child would never, ever, feel the connection with themselves. So this is the invitation that I would speak out and express with my 100% conviction that if you make space for your children, that's the most loving space. That doesn't mean that we don't always, tolerate everything. On the contrary, we actually give them the guideline. I would, of course, protect my child if I see that they are approaching an abyss, and I would go there, but I wouldn't shout. I would go there, I would take them. Have you ever seen an animal, a protecting dog, looking after children? Maybe you have witnessed that yourself. I've witnessed once a baby approaching a swimming pool, and wanting to play with the water and actually making this kind of bending over towards the water. And then the golden retriever of the family came closer and just went there and paused and, got closer to the baby. And the baby basically saw the dog and touched, and really connected with the dog. And so the dog came in front of the baby and took the baby away from, falling into the water. And this is what I'm saying. He didn't bark. The golden retriever didn't bark, didn't make any noise. It was just this protective and protecting gesture that I go there, like a parent. If I see that happen, I don't shout, don't do it. Because the moment I shout, don't do it, what happens? The baby may fall into the water and will get a shock, and will actually really, build up fear and build up moments which will become a trauma, and they will take it with them for potentially, I don't want to say, if it's repeatedly happening, something like that, then it will cause a trauma, and you will not be able to overcome that easily, because that gets ingrained in your system. So if I instead, as a parent, as an adult person, as an educator, walk there like the dog was doing, I walk there, I just give my baby, the child, my hand, I reach out to the baby, I help it to pull back. And then, the situation is completely a different one. And what happens here, and I think that's the magic, that what happens here is that the baby basically feels protected, feels seen, soothed, and understands automatically that the baby and the child can trust the person around, and can just then, by doing that, form and build roots within themselves, so that they start creating their own judgment in such a situation again. They realize, and afterwards, of course, I will not talk to a baby about it necessarily in detail, but if the child is a little bit older, then I will start a conversation with a child. If if the child is 2-3 years old, I can start talking to the child and saying to the child, you see, if I hadn't come over now, you would have fallen into the water. Do you know how to swim? No, you don't know how to swim. So shall we learn swimming? And I would then go gradually on by giving and nurturing the child, by equipping the child with these skills that are needed when, falling into the water in the swimming pool. And step by step, I'm walking forward like that. And this is what we are meant to do as adult people, as adult persons. This is what we are meant to do as parents. This is what we are meant to do, because what happens here, the child grows a mindset, a mindset that I can trust the process, I can trust the person next to me, and I can trust my own judgment after, having gone through such an experience. And it also learns to see that, okay, I have decided to do something which was not good, but I learned from this mistake and I don't make it a big thing. I just say, this is something that would probably lead to a disaster if I don't watch out, but I can approach it in a different way. So I learn skills. I learn a mindset. I learn a mindset that is based on solution orientation, on finding strategies within myself, on growing strategies, on learning skills within myself that can be learned on a daily basis with the help of the adult person next to me, but also by trialing it out, by giving the child the space to trial it out by themselves. So that's why mindset is such an important feature in education. And I can't say, honestly speaking, can I say as an adult person that I don't play any role in this to establish that within my child? A child we know how animals are dealing with their own children. What is happening there? Their own children, the kittens, they follow what the cat is doing. So basically, we need to be aware that our children copy what we are doing, especially when they are very young. When they are older, they copy their friends, they copy their role models, they copy, the people around them which make an impact on them. So if I know that I'm basically there to showcase, to showcase what keeps them moving forward, building up self-confidence, building up consciousness, mindfulness, and making them conscious leaders of themselves, where they understand, okay, they can create anything. Then I need to be the role model. I need to walk the talk by myself. I need to do exactly what I think is important, and I nurture my child with this kind of mindset. I nurture them also with this kind of mindset within a school setting. I would never say you are bad at math. I mean, imagine if I say to somebody, you are bad at math. If I constantly say to somebody, you are bad at math, this is limiting mindset. This is exactly the opposite. This is not acknowledging that there is a child with a brain and with inner knowing, and the brain that can be trained on a daily basis and can basically do anything. We do know by now that we only use 9% of our brain capacities. Imagine those people who really use it very, very well, they don't even go beyond 10-15% of the capacity. So if we know that neuroplasticity is part of our, concept and of part of our being human, that we can use it at any time to the best, then we will actually nurture this brain with beliefs that instead of saying you are bad at math, I can say, I'm not yet there in this concept. What can I do? Which skills do I need to learn? What do I need to get explained by another person, or by watching a YouTube video, or by the adult person next to me, so that I understand? Because within ourselves, everything is already there for whatever is out there in nature to be understood. It's just our own limitations that don't allow us, to understand. And that's why there is mathematics out there is physics out there, and there are all the theories out there that help make sense of what is already there. And if it's already there in nature, I believe it's also possible if nature is and the universe is what is guiding us as a guiding force, then the small universe lies within ourselves. And that means that I need to shift from a mindset of not knowing and of not understanding and of limiting myself towards a mindset I can do it. And I, as an adult person, can facilitate that process. So this is a key feature. Mindset is everything. And then, of course, we need to act upon that accordingly. And I'm in a different kind of understanding about the world around me. And mindset really, as I mentioned before, makes the difference. And if we are getting back to the school context, I need to say that there used to be very skeptical voices out there with regards to mindset, and you don't need to do that in a school context, for instance. This is changing radically. What I see more and more happening is that parents are looking also for an environment where their children are exposed to a setting, to an environment where they can breathe in such an understanding, such a frequency, such an energy, where they see that everything is possible. So I would say the outlook for the new year, I think that the educational system is really in the start box of changing. And we see that happening because of students asking for something different, but not only students and children, but also parents. And I think even within the system, we see that there are so many teachers who are not anymore happy within their context. Why are they not happy within their context? Because they feel limited. They need to fulfill, the requirements of all the assessments and whatsoever and the conditions, and they don't see anymore, they don't focus anymore on what is really meaningful. And that's basically the student themselves. And so I see lots of changes coming towards us, but positive changes. And the changes will be even more massive, I think, if there are more people who allow those changes to happen and who take this next step and take, I don't even want to say the risk anymore, because we have enough evidence that mindset and working on a personal development trajectory is so crucial. We see it with the wave of coaching business rising up, right? I mean, it's just a given that there is a demand for that. And I think if we start early within the school context with this, then we do not even have to unlearn anymore that much, because we are not conditioned anymore that much. So this is what I'm seeing happening. And I'm full of trust and confidence. And if you feel that you want to also go in that direction, then maybe, and not only maybe, for sure, School Beyond Limitations is the right place for you.
At School Beyond Limitations, we support our students find their unique essence. Feel free to share the content of this podcast with other parents. We are here to show that your children can, indeed, bring their unique essence into life. So, reach out to us if you think that this is what you'd like your daughter, your son to experience, or apply through our website. Also, leave your comments, your questions, or your review about the podcast. Share it with others. And, as you know, sharing is caring.